Hi, this is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. I had intended to do this video a couple of days ago, and I have been busy, didn't get a chance. But we had some severe weather over the weekend, and now we've got potential for severe weather coming Friday morning. So I wanted to touch on this to kind of clear up what I feel like is an over focus on tornadoes, and kind of a neglect of what microbursts are, how frequent microbursts are, and how dangerous microbursts are. And so here's the definition from the National Weather Service. Yeah, microburst is a localized column of sinking air or a downdraft within a thunderstorm, and is usually less than or equal to 2.5 miles in diameter, so up to 5 miles. Well, no, 2.5 miles in diameter. Microbursts can cause extensive damage at the surface, and in some cases can be life-threatening. Wind speeds in a microburst can reach up to 100 miles per hour or even higher, which is the equivalent to an F1 tornado. Winds this high can cause major damage to homes and other structures and level hundreds of trees. It is very important that you take severe thunderstorm warnings just as seriously as you take tornado warnings. That is from the National Weather Service. That's not from me. That's from the National Weather Service. People get upset that the sirens sound when there's a severe thunderstorm warning, but the reason they do that is because of what happened on Saturday, what could potentially happen on Friday, and what's happened on many of our severe thunderstorms. And that's that most severe thunderstorms are still capable of producing small spin-up tornadoes, and almost all severe thunderstorms are capable of producing microbursts and straight-line winds, which again, as the National Weather Service noted, can be just as destructive as an F1 tornado, and actually more widespread with their damage than what a tornado. And that's, to me, one of the things is that a tornado is going to affect a small area, and most of our tornadoes Indiana rarely gets an F4 or F5 tornado. So most of our tornadoes are small. They affect a small area, whereas these microbursts can do damage across a large area. Here's kind of a visualization of what happens with a microburst. In this example, the downflow is kind of at an angle. What happened on Saturday was that the downflows actually were more straight down than angled. So if you were directly under where these bursts hit the ground, it will do a lot of damage, as you'll see coming up. Some of what happened in Madison County, and then as you get farther out away from the center where it hits the ground, then that circulation spreads out, and that roar that so many of us were hearing, that sounds very much like a tornado. That was this wall of wind progressing across the county. There can be obstacles in the way, groups of trees, things like that break it up. So some of us, it got really windy, but nothing destructive, while others who were kind of out in the open where the wind was unimpeded saw a lot of damage. In the case of Moonsville, there were some structures just got leveled. Here's a still frame from the National Weather Service of actually this may be their animation. Let's hit their animation here. You can see, note that ball at the beginning of it, and I've got a still of it, but see the ball, see it hitting the ground, and then you see it fanning out. Keep that in mind, the ball and the fanning out. Here again, images, one from that video, just showing that ball, but then also here is this from the National Weather Service. This happened somewhere else, and you can see this microburst absolutely destroyed this home. And then you can see the damage spreading out from here. It blew things the other way. I mean, it stripped stuff out of the trees. There's stuff up in the trees because when it slams and the winds begin to swirl back up and roll, kind of what was in that image before. So again, people get focused on well, it was a tornado, or was it a tornado? Yeah, this was more than a microburst. No, a microburst is very destructive if you are where they are. If you're that homeowner, if you're the barn owner up in Moonville, do you care whether it was a tornado or a microburst? Your stuff got destroyed just the same. So, again, people get focused on tornado, tornado, tornado. And if there's no tornado, then they think there should never be any sirens, and that it's not dangerous, and that's just not true. If you're in the path of one of these things, you're just as at risk from a microburst as you are from a small tornado. Here's a look at the radar imagery from the storm on Saturday. And this image on the left, you can see the area I've got circled in white. And this was early on when you can see there was no thunderstorm warning even issued yet. But we were already alerting you that this storm was capable of producing large hail and these damaging winds. And that kind of, this was over Alexandria at the time. And you can see the purples that were in the center of that cell. And that's where the updrafts are really kicking in, and the collapse of that storm was imminent. You can kind of see the path was heading right toward Moonville at the time, and I believe it got in between Alexandria and Moonville when it collapsed. To the right, once the collapse had happened, you can kind of see a collapse that happened over here by Yorktown. You can see the one that had happened here, and once they happen, they also create lift, which then starts driving a new thunderstorm, kind of like an outflow boundary. And you see that was reaching down to Chesterfield and Daleville by this point, and the core of it right over Moonville. And then it generated yet another cell out here to the west of Anderson, which ended up doing damage down south of Pendleton. Here's an image from Jeff Watts. And this, to me, is a good image, because what you can see below these two arrows, this was drone footage. This was taken out from south of Highland High School. Looking north, I believe Highland is right here. That's Rangeline Road. Then, of course, as you get farther away, everything condenses toward the horizon. So, up here you're getting around 300 to 400 east. And you can see here underneath this arrow on the right, there's the column of the first collapse, the cell I was showing you earlier. And over here is the second one that's was about to take place in the second image out to the west of northwest of Anderson. You can see the column comes straight down, and the fan out had already happened at this point. So this cell had just collapsed. This was up close to Moonsville, about where this would have happened. This did a lot of damage, but you can see over here in this left, see that ball starting to sink down in. Let me try to zoom in a little bit here, so you can see these a little closer. You can see that ball that's forming right here. This is just straight down. This is a heavy rain shaft. There you can see the fan out right in here from the first one, and here's this ball from yet a second collapse that was about to happen, or was actually in progress at the time that Jeff snapped this photo. So this was a great photo, and showing these cells. Here's a photo that we got permission to use from Maddie Gray. This was up at Moonville, and again, you can see in this where the wind had probably collapsed over here just to the left of the barn and just absolutely leveled this. There were some comments talking about that these winds push tractors and other heavy equipment, and they will do that. Again, these winds can be up to 100 miles per hour. They can be like a tornado strength. But again, these things, once they slam into the ground, if you're under where they hit, it will destroy whatever is underneath it. So, tornado, you might have some warning that it's coming. You might hear it. There might actually be a tornado warning because somebody spotted it. These you cannot spot. And so if you are underneath it, when this happens and one of these drops on your home, you have zero warning that destruction is about to happen. You have no time to take shelter. So this is why you should always pay attention to severe thunderstorm warnings. And if there's a severe thunderstorm warning, just because there's no tornado, do not take it lightly, because this can happen. If this had been somebody's house instead of a barn, this could have been just very tragic. And then we take a look here. Once it fanned out away from the center of the storm, this was up at 1550 North up by Summitville. This was provided by the Van Buren Township Fire Department. And you can see those winds came through in a straight line and just snapped all these poles off. Just snapped them off in a straight line. You can kind of see where the center of this particular wave was. And I mean, this probably happened in a matter of seconds because of that wall of wind that was coming. And so even once this is already slammed into the ground and those winds fan out, once you're out in the wide open, these straight line winds then become a massive risk. Right after we moved in the house we're in, we had something similar to this happen. It came through, and so happened I had gone to the store, and I was on my way back when it came through, and it snapped off the tree across the street from us and dropped it right into our driveway. Had our car been parked there, it probably would have been trashed. So, and had the tree been a little bit taller, it could have reached our house. So, again, these things are nothing to take lightly. You should always take severe thunderstorm warnings seriously. If the sirens sound and there's no tornado, don't get mad. Don't think it's a waste, because even though nothing may have happened at your house, it's probably doing some damage somewhere. And if there are structures in the way, houses especially in the way, people's lives and safety are at risk. Take them seriously. So let me wrap this up here. The takeaway on this is that microbursts and straight line winds are the most common sources of wind damage in our area. We've kind of been trained as we grew up to fear tornadoes and tornadoes alone, but microbursts and straight line winds are the most frequent cause of of wind damage in our area, and this may happen again on Friday morning. We'll see. Again, they're as destructive as an EF1 tornado, but again, give no forewarning, as I mentioned. And then also, these types of events, along with low-level spin-up tornadoes, are the reasons the sirens are sounded for severe thunderstorm warnings. Please do not discount sirens. All severe thunderstorms are capable of damaging property and taking lives. So again, I'll say it one more time. Don't get mad because the sirens go off and there's no tornado, because that storm is capable of, or is probably producing significant damage somewhere. It may not be at your house, but it's producing it somewhere, or it's capable of doing these. And again, these microbursts, all you can know is that it's capable of doing it. But when this canopy collapses and all that rain and wind slam into the ground, there's no forewarning if you're underneath it. Once it's already happened, then you can know there's a wall of wind coming and you can hear that. But if you're underneath where it happens, like what happened up at Moonville, if that's a house, again, that's maybe a tragic situation. So I just wanted to touch on this with what had just happened on Saturday, and the potential, again, Friday morning, and what the potential is with most severe setups in our area. So with that, this is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. Thank you very much for following us. Thank you so much to those of you who subscribe and who donate. We're just barely making enough money to keep it going, so more donations are certainly needed. And thank you to all of you, regardless. And we will talk to you later. Thank you very much.